You guys down with a little public service announcement start to the podcast?
Is it something we want to do a separate video for?
Nah. I
Fuck
think
it.
we're good
Do it.
right now.
Do it.
Yeah, all right. Well, Outcast Haven podcast starts now.
Oh, that's it. That's the beginning. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's a teasing the public service announcement that's coming.
So, public service announcement. And it's going to come off and people are just going to bitch about this because it's going to come off. It's going to come off like I typically come off. So never mind. It's going to come off like normal me. But here's the thing. If you're out there trying to get better at this game, there's a lot of avenues. And if you watch our stuff, we do deck techs, we do gameplay. We never say this is going to cause you to win a tournament, right? I don't like that with content creators.
Oh, yeah, like claiming like, hey,
claiming this is how you win, because that's not how you win. You win not. That's why this game is so good. Is you can't just grab a deck, go to your tournament and win. You actually have to know how to play the game. So
and play that deck like
right and play it well. And I hate seeing new people coming out. And once again, we never say that our decks are great. I'm just saying, but if you come out and say your deck is fucking great and you're going to win with it, and then I look up your XP and you have 100 lifetime XP and you've never played in a rated tournament before, how can you make that claim and then hide things behind paywalls? So you want somebody to pay you for a deck that you said they're going to win with when you've never performed in a tournament, when you've never even done armories.
See, I almost am mad that we're even talking about this, because that's just giving like credence to the fact that like just that.
But here's why it's a public service announcement.
Yeah, okay.
There is good content creators out there.
There's even a school.
You can go to. There's a school coming, which let's look at those two. They have a shit ton of XP and a large amount of ELO. I know Blake, big fan of Arsenal Pass. They're top-rated players. One is the fucking Australian national championship. That's where you go to get proven stuff, to really learn from somebody who's done a high level. Once again, you can put out whatever the fuck you want, but as a public service announcement to people looking for this, look at their XP. If they only have 100 XP lifetime, they've never played the game. You shouldn't listen to them and pay them money to give you deck advice. Go to your Arsenal passes. Go to your fab schools. Watch our gameplay. You can watch me blunder Azalea and be like, oh, I would have taken a different line. A lot better ways to learn for free or next to nothing. So it's a little public service announcement. Don't buy shit without research. Like anything.
Yeah.
I
you do the same
don't
thing
even
when you buy a car.
If they do though, who cares? Like fucking.
No, but I'm just
spend your money on it. We don't. If you're gonna be a fucking moron, you're gonna
that's
be a
like
moron.
a public service announcement. Yeah. I mean, we have a local, sports talk radio guy, and he's got one of the best sayings in the world, and it's a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 people are idiots. If you disagree with a lot of stuff I said, you probably are one of them. It's just the way it is.
I see part of the reason that I love this is so in a lot of games, one of the things you get is a lot of like community clout, like you get a lot of this sense of who's good in the game, and it comes from basically whoever people say is good. So it's perceptive good, and people are like, well, he tops a lot of events, and it's like, does he though, or does he just get talked about a lot? One of the best parts about Fab is you just look them up. Yeah, you just look up their name, and I'll go both ways, right? Like obviously it's ELO or it's XP. You know what? You can kind of do an average of both. Like, sure, they could have done good at one event and gotten high or low, hey, if they've got some pretty good XP or their lifetime XP is pretty high, they probably play the game a lot, so they can get some
just
credence.
the
But
XP of playing the game, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you just brought up a great point. If you don't have a lot of XP, it means you're not supporting your local community and you're not out playing, which just isn't good. And I know there'll be comments, well, there's a pandemic. Yeah, I understand all that. But in general, you should be out supporting your community doing this at the same time. This shouldn't be about you, like, help grow I don't know. That's my soapbox. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. I mean, I think that's a good point, and it's something I think is very valid right now, which is the fact that I think a lot of people don't value that enough. They don't value the local community. It's something we talked about a little bit today, in one of our group chats, and it's something that I think comes up a lot that we're incredibly grateful for here in the cities, but it wasn't something that comes free. Like, I think people look at sometimes, and we've even kind of flaunted to some degree how great it is here, how great we have it, how lucky we are. One of the guys pointed out that there 7 days a week you can play in at least 2 places, and there's only 2 days a week that don't have 3 right now in the cities, which is incredible. And I think a lot of people make assumptions that, oh, well, you're just lucky because you got LGSs that want to do it. No, we have players who have worked hard to approach stores and have conversations with stores, and we've got someone like Chris Bates and Jason who have made the effort to like have conversations with stores like, hey, it's great that you want to do it, but maybe don't do it on this day because we have 2 stores on that day. If you would do it on this day, and as a result we have all these stores and they're all able to fire events because people have put in the energy. And people are complaining on the page this week, I need the online events. I'm never going to keep up with XP with people who live in big cities. And it's like, well, if you only have one store, if you only have one game store, I get that that's tough. But if your city has 2 or 3 or 4 game stores, then it's up to you to put in the energy to grow the community. Move from game store to game store and just go there. Just if it's Tuesday night at one place, on Thursday night, just you organize the meetup at the other store.
Dude, I felt like a fucking Boy Scout there for a while, like selling cookies or whatever. I don't know, Boy Scouts sell cookies, Girl Scout. I feel like Girl Scout.
They sell
I guess.
popcorn.
Going to like the shops. Like, do you remember our like grassroots trying when it was just the source and they just had product and no events, and it was like, okay, like Jason, you went to like 2 shops up by you. Like, I just found Viral like a month ago, or what? No, that's super wrong. Like fucking
way longer.
Way wrong. 5 months ago, whatever it was. I went in there because I was looking for a place to get Pokemon cards, and I'm like, oh shit, this store is 3 minutes from my house. I for sure want them to start fab up. Like, just fucking have conversations with the owners. Believe it or not, the owners want to. If you tell them like there's a group of 10 of you that like are looking for a place to play, I guarantee they'll make space to like have 10 dudes come in, or gals come in, and like buy product and do local events. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Just for the record, when I say 10 guys come in to play, I do that that's all encompassing of women and males, because our community is very mixed. We have a lot of female players and male players. So if I ever say guys, I'm not excluding anyone. That is an all-encompassing term that I use the same way that Dane does.
Dudes is gender neutral. That's always my argument. I know it's probably not, but in my mind, dudes is gender neutral.
It is as well.
I call it's anybody can be a dude. But yeah, I think to Dane's point, that's a good thing though, right? That's a great point of what happened here in the cities. It was legitimately like a grassroots like political camp. It was like door-to-door knocking at every shop that would listen to us. I stood in one shop one day and I mentioned the game that we played. I'm like, yeah, we play this game Flesh and Blood. And they're like, I mean, I've seen it, but I don't really know much about it. And it's like, well, can I tell you something about it? Here's 5 reasons why Fab will be great for your store. And I would do anything. I'm trying to like soapbox in these stores for this game because I wanted stores to host events. That's all I wanted. And every time I've ever gone in, I always make sure, even little things. I think sometimes players are bad about showing their appreciation to the stores by making sure they pre-order boxes from them. You could save $10 online. It's like, cool, buy online, but make sure you buy just as much from your local stores and reward them. Also, just tell them thank you. Like, be appreciative. I always make a point when I'm at a store, if I know the person running the event or the people who are hosting it, especially if it's an owner. Not all shops obviously have the owners, but if it's the owner or the manager that's in there, let them know you appreciate them. Make sure your group is clean. Make sure they're respectful of the space and the people that are there and the people that are working. Like, those kind of things, they recognize that when they're hosting tournaments. Like, I love when these people come. They're clean, they pick up after themselves, they're friendly. Maybe most importantly, they don't smell bad. Like, it's a very clean group. They all wear deodorant. You know, keep a thing of deodorant. They get, help somebody out. Like, some games, the players, they're not the.
I will say it's funny how at Source how much bigger Magic was, and we have completely flipped that around.
Oh my god!
And
we crushed.
We
were
like five times the size, and that's not an exaggeration.
Tuesday.
They had 4. We had 23.
Tuesday, we had 23 people, and they had
23.
four people playing Magic, and it was like, come on,
it was amazing.
Join us. Just drop starter decks by them.
And it's also important to note that currently that is requiring, because they basically run the events for the Magic community. Jason and Chris Bates go out of their way to bring laptops with them, and they run the software for the store. And I know some people are like, oh, well, that doesn't, your store's not even hosting it. Like, you know what? The store supports it. It takes a little extra energy to basically do some of the work for the store, but they host events and they're willing to let us like have packs and promos and stuff like that. And you know what? It doesn't we still get everything that we need. It just takes an extra step to make it happen. And I think sometimes people are like, well, I shouldn't have to do that. It's like, cool. Well, then don't bitch and moan when the stores don't host events. Like, help them out. If
you love the game, you got to go out of your way for some things that you love sometimes.
People will travel across the country to go do it because there's money prizing, but they won't host it locally. Well, if you want the game to grow, you need to have a local community. Your local stores need to do it because they're the ones who buy the product.
So, all right, Jason's soapbox complete.
So little housekeeping. We've been cranking out. We did too. We're cranking out the gameplay videos like crazy right now. Crazy crank.
We got a bunch recorded, just as far as publishing them.
So there'll be more. We'll probably do 2 a week, but there's a lot of deck list requests, and you're just not going to get them for at least another 10 days. Just going to throw that out there. We got ProQuest coming out in 8 days. These decks are changing. These are a sneak peek of what we're working on, and that's what we're going to talk about next. And not going into great detail, but just kind of our testing and what we're doing right now in leads to the ProQuest. So please keep requesting the deck lists. After we run them in our ProQuest, we'll do deck techs of how they did, our matchups, and all that kind of good stuff on separate videos.
Yep.
But I personally don't even have any of my decks in FabDB. Making them and changing them on the spot as we're playing games. So into testing we go. I'll start because I never tell you guys what we're talking about, so you can see what I'm kind of spitting right here. So I personally am working really, really hard on Azalea, and you could see that in my video. I would say I'm taking the Jacob Pearson approach and trying to get 3 to 5 games in before I switch cards in it. So I did a little tournament on Monday, and it was 3 games, and the deck went 2-1. I really sideboarded bad in my first game. I tried Dreadbore. It's just horseshit. So FYI, you already have Release Attention that does the same damn thing, and you have 9 of them, probably maybe 6. So you don't really need that card. To draw is so much better, just so much better. And then I played Source, made some changes, and I went 1-3. My first match was against Blake. He had a really good start, and we still ended on 1-2 life, and it wasn't like 2 life for 1 turn. It was a give or take for 3-4 turns before he got me. Rematched, the deck won the second time, and then I won game 2 against Reinar, which was actually a super, super good game. A ton of fun with Cody. That was another one where he had just remembered, so I was barraging beatdowns, and my deck was getting really skinny, and I got the Dominate Arrow to win for just enough. Otherwise, I think he kills me in the next turn. And then I played Adam, and I did a blind Azalea and miscounted my D-Reacts and blind Azalea D-React right into my deck and didn't shoot him for 8, which like I could have. So I've been testing Azalea. That's kind of how it's going. I switched more cards after Source, not as many. I think I switched 5 after the 3 games that I did on Monday. Then Tuesday, I swapped out 2 or 3 cards. So each time in that deck, I'm switching 2 to 3 cards, and we're gonna just keep grinding games in preparation for ProQuest. And then I'm like 90% I'm gonna bring Azalea to the first ProQuest. I don't see how I don't at this point. So that's kind of where I'm
practicing so much on it. It's like,
yeah, that's where I'm at. So I don't know which one you want to jump in next.
Blake, you can go for it.
All right. Yeah. No, I mean, I primarily been trying to sort out new Bravo, because that's been obviously a big challenge with the new hero with a whole new pool of cards. We've had to ask ourselves a lot of questions, I think, throughout the testing process. Like, if you build it this way, why not play Oldham? If you build it that way, why not play Briar? If you build it, and you have to come up with a reason why you're playing the deck with Bravo and not with somebody else. Like, is there a hero who facilitates this strategy better? And it's kind of sorting out all those details has been the big thing. I've been trying to figure out. I think it's gone well. I mean, so far, I think I went 2-1, 3-1 at both the events I've played it at. I lost one really close one. I had a huge turn set up. I mean, both times I had a huge turn set up, and it just got I lost tempo basically on the turn that I had. That basically goes, okay, I'm going to strip their hand, and then I control the game. Like, it was a pretty good tempo game back and forth. Then it's like, this is the turn that I think I can win, and then they had the answer that basically just put me in a spot where I was stuck. On Saturday, I was playing Bates and he was playing Prism, and I knew that a Rouse was coming with a Pulverize. So I'm like, okay, you can Rouse off of one card, and then I had heaved Thunderquake in. So I had it was basically I had 2 blues and a Pulverize and some other card or in my Rouse coming. So I was going to be able to go Rouse for 7 into Thunderquake for 8 while he was in single digit life. I'm like, this is ball game. And I thought I had watched, he was a ways. I didn't think he was quite to his Arclight yet because he had pitched one early, and I thought I had turboed through mine faster, and he must have hit his other one because in response to the seismics popping, he plays an Arclight, and I was like, cool.
Feels so bad.
So I was just like, yeah, that's it. So that's how you lose that one. That's great. So I should have tracked a little bit better. That's on me. And then the same kind of thing happened literally last night at Source, where I had a Rouse into a Spinal Crush set up and ready to roll. And I was playing Andrew, who's a very good player in his own right. The guy is the final Star Wars Destiny world champion of all time, and has carried those skills over very respectively into Flesh and Blood. And we had a great game going. I had him early, then he got some tempo back, then I took it back, and then he had one turn that was just crazy where it was like that turn where you're just like, oh God. He was playing Lexi. It was ice, but it had a little splash of lightning, and that was what really made it hard to defend, because we're still working on the Bravo deck. So like defense reactions haven't really gone into it yet because we're trying to figure out what cards need to come out. And he goes, flip a lightning press. And I was like, oh God. And he's like, snatch for 4 with go again. And I'm like, okay, so if I over defend this, he just doesn't play the lightning press and I'm hosed. If I under defend this, he fires off the lightning press and draws. So I was kind of in that lose-lose situation. So I was like, all right, well, we under defend it so we can try to defend the rest of the turn. So I just under defended. I was like, I have tons of life, so I think I can do it. Rouse into Spinal, I think just gets him. And then I let him draw the snatch. He had exactly enough resources to have his turn. And the only way he has another attack, because he has his bracers, is if he draws a 0-cost arrow. I countered his graveyard. I'm trying to figure out how many. I'm like, there's probably a couple left in his deck. So what are the odds he gets it? And of course he gets it. And I was just like, oh my God, no. And he fired lethal at me, and I didn't have any way to defend it. So I had to give him a card, and then I couldn't Rouse into Spinal anymore. So the deck's been running well, but we're obviously still tuning it. It's a brand new deck. So it's probably what I take to a ProQuest first, assuming I get another good week of testing in with it, but you know, I really just want to play it so that I can hopefully I just want to win the first Pro Quest. Not because I want to win, not just because I want to win the first Pro Quest, because I do want to win a Pro Quest. I want to win the first Pro Quest because if I win the first Pro Quest, I will take Kano to the next one. Like I will roll with Kano to a Pro Quest if I can win the first one.
Fair. I would do the same.
Yeah.
Dane?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, man.
Carry on in there.
Yeah. No, so I've
Rock and
been
roll.
on Prism and I am so fucking happy. I love it. I mean, if you roll back like beginning of spoiler season, before spoiler season, I was like, I just want more aura options, because like playing Prism, I liked anything that I could run the aura build, like the defensive tempo build into. I hated having to like just run aggro and like play that game, because it's like that's not why I like Prism. I like Prism because I like setting up and pacing things out and like being really methodical. And like as soon as these auras dropped, I was like, cool, I'm fucking building that. And my goal was to build the deck that I wanted to play and basically run it up against whatever I could until it wasn't going to win. The deck that I wanted to play wasn't going to win. The 60 card deck, right? So I played into, so it passed the Guardian test, right? Like I took the deck I wanted and I took it into Bravo, took it into Oldham. I haven't played it into Old Bravo yet, but the new Bravo and Oldham, and like did Prism things into that. Felt good into that. Actually, I beat Zach, who I consider a pretty solid Oldham player, at the source, and that was super comfortable. Like Bravo's scarier just because he's a little more aggressive now, but Oldham was like super comfortable matchup. Like I was never ever afraid. And then and then I went into Katsu and I was like, okay, this is going to be a little weird, but I'm not going to side, and I'm just going to keep playing the thing, sticking with my game plan of just running it into whatever I can until I meet a matchup that I need to adjust for. And I went 2-1 into Bergie's Katsu, which I consider to be a very good Katsu. And the loss into him was like, it was still close, and I was like, I think that was maybe just like some misplays early on. That was like my third game ever with this deck. And then my only true, like not true loss, because I lost those games, but the only loss where I came away from it like, okay, I might need to adjust after this, was into Chain. That Minnowism belittle Chain that the Pat and the Tickle and all those guys have been working on. So lost to Tickle in the final rounds on the source on Tuesday. And that I honestly though, like I don't even know if I change it yet, because it felt like I just misplayed. Like I miscalled what he was going to do into me. I thought he was going to slow down quite a bit. So I was trying to like still stick to my game plan, but he was just shackling. After he made like that fourth shackle, I should have just been like, cool, I'm blocking shit out, because you're just going to keep going. But yeah, feels really, really good. I'm really, really excited, because I'm trying to think of like a matchup where I need to change the deck drastically, and I think the only one would be the Mirror, but I don't even know that is the case, because I think the way that I have it built and what it does is kind of unique to what I've seen other Prisms so far coming out of the woodwork. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to, because we haven't run Bolton in that one, and Bolton, so because I never make up my mind of what deck I want to run. I think that's pretty obvious. I can't do it. So obviously new Bravo, Azalea, and then Bolton would be the other one. And Bolton used to have a decent Prism matchup. I have no idea what it would look like now. So it's something that would definitely want to run and make some changes. And I'll make my changes as soon as it tells me what those changes are.
The Bolton matchup, I would like to play, because I feel like the thing that pulled you away from running Aura into Bolton was how he could keep pace pretty well with those. Like he was able to.
You can go so wide and hit it at the last one
right,
for free.
Exactly. Like it was really easy for him to just like swing his sword even for 0 and just pop an Aura. So like just like he could keep pace with your Aura count, and you just need to eat through the 12 to 15 that you had in your deck if you're running that many even.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, cool. Well, I'm out of gas for that. The fact that we got 12, 12 new auras that you can drop, like that's fucking awesome. That's exactly what I wanted to see. And they block, and they're blue, and they're 0 cost. They're action points, but that's fine. I got a solution for that. I'm good. Like I think that shores up the issue in that matchup that was forcing me to play that matchup aggressively, which I didn't like anyways. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it.
I know high on our list is to get a Prism gameplay video out to the people next week.
Yep.
So that will be recorded and sent out. The other interesting, so locally, and I'll be curious in comments of what's happening in other people's metas, but locally, Prism shot up in Viserai, to no fault of his own, dropped, like there was a ton of Viserai running before Everfest, and he got better.
Yeah.
There was cards that
it's crazy
genuinely help him a lot, and he's been nowhere to be found. Like nobody's running Viserai. People are there's new Bravos. You got idiots like me running Azalea. I mean, Dane's always been on Prism since day one, so he's just improved his deck. But other non-Prism players or people that have cheated on Prism have come back to her like she's some kind of whore. I don't understand that, why she even took him back. But it was interesting because Viserai is really, really good. So I don't know, maybe people are just playing dummy and not bringing him out right now because they don't want to see how good he is.
No, I think.
But he's scary still. I mean, because he can go to game plan 2, and now he can shoot off rune chance and just keep attacking you with different sources constantly. I mean, that's what Blake, that's been like, you've been preaching that for a while.
Yeah, his tempo game is just like I think that's the biggest thing is before is OTK plan was really good, but there were just certain decks that you couldn't play it into because they either went too fast or like Prism, they had a specific answer to that strategy where they just went, oh, you break Bloodsheath? Well, that's cool. I play Arclight Sentinel. It was like just a hard answer. So they had to have a solution to that in some way, shape, or form, right? So it's interesting because now like they have their tempo game got so much better, and it wasn't even like it's not even a crazy amount of cards. Literally just Revel in Rune Blood and Swarming Gloomveil.
Swarming Gloom.
Yeah,
that's damn good card.
Yeah. I think the crazy thing that the crazy thing about that deck is that you can go Mauvrion Skies or Mordred Tide or just any non-attack into Swarming Gloomveil, so that way you can trigger easily the effect, and then you can play Revel in Runeblood and just make 4 rune chants, and then swing the sword for 8 damage. Like it blows my mind. Like
I haven't looked at Viserai too much. I've been pretty deep in Prism's card pool, but so does it specify like on Swarming Gloomveil that it's like when you play an aura?
No, so
why are people not just making the rune chant off the gloves and then going into that?
So like you can, like, right, like that's a thing.
That gives it go again.
Yeah.
So if you do that,
so
if you do Mordred Tide into the gloves, it gets the go again and the +1 just from that. Because I've seen no one talk about the fact that like the gloves trigger it.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing is like
nobody's playing it.
Yeah, I think the thing is like you can play any non-attack in the deck into it and you get the go again automatically, and then the plus, if you get the plus on it, that's just like the bonus because it allows you.
So if you're doing if you build the rune chant off your gloves, play a Mordred, you get all 3 of the buffs off of it. Like that's fucking
Correct.
easy.
Yep.
That's so like, or
Yep.
you just make it Mavrian.
Mhm.
Let's go. That's all of the benefits of Gloomvale, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like what it puts you in a really tough spot when you're if you're playing against the deck, it puts you in a tough spot because Swarming Gloomvale becomes one of those cards that if they trigger all 3 effects, it is a card that says if you don't block me, I could just pour a bunch of damage into you. Because if you let Swarming Gloomvale hit, right, then all of a sudden that you can't block Arcane. So if they have Revel and Runeblood and then swing the sword at you, you take 6 unblockable damage. There's nothing you can do about the arcane damage that's coming at you. So it becomes a card that you basically have to defend.
Yeah, for like a mid-range deck,
yeah,
Viserai, that's what I'm building next. Like that just seems
I mean, I think the biggest thing is like Gloomvale just offers another easy source of go again, because that's the thing that the deck often runs into. That's the reason that I think a lot of people were playing Briar or Chain over Viz, is because Viz would like get those weird spots where sometimes you would just draw a hand. You're like, I can't go again. I didn't draw a card to enable go again. Now Swarming Gloomvale just goes, okay, don't have a great, like I don't even have a non-attack, because that's the biggest thing is a lot of them you need to make a rune chants, and Swarming Gloomvale just goes, cool, I pitch a blue, I make a rune chant, I swarming for free, I swing sword for at least 2 damage at the end. Like you still can get some value out of your turn and put some damage on them, which is huge. I don't understand why he's not one of those decks that, or why he's not a deck that people are just like in some ways scared of, because
I mean, they should be. He's going to
so
be good.
He's so flexible.
Really
yeah.
And maybe a lot of people are starting bringing him right
flexible.
now. I don't know. Who knows? A lot of people are playing a lot of the same stuff.
I don't know if people are playing coy, but
yeah, no, I don't think that they're doing it like in a sneaky way. I do think that like there's other decks that are really interesting to people. I wouldn't be surprised if Prism saw a drop off, because I think to playing it
not easy.
Well,
but
playing it well is not
either.
No, but it's really it's funny that I'm saying this, but like playing Prism well is super. The enjoyment that I get from it is being rewarded
Confused?
for being very patient and being able to take damage without getting antsy. And like I played so much Prism that I know that I'm playing to like a couple different pivot turns, that like I can take a 13, I can like in a turn, I can take, you know what I mean? Like, and people are going to do that, or they're going to block out, and they're never going to have themselves set up to, like, I think that's the biggest lesson on Prism, is that if you want to play her well, like you need to acknowledge that there's times where you need to take that, because if you've set up enough of a good turn to start to build yourself out, then it's totally worth taking that damage. If you try to block out and try to build with like 2 cards in hand, maybe 3 cards in hand, like 2 cards in hand in an arsenal, like you are just going to forever be behind the curve and be like, Prism doesn't do it. Like, why is she not getting over the top? It's like, you need to be able to take that much damage without freaking out. So I don't know. That's just sort of, if you play Prism and you are genuinely interested, stick it out, because it's fucking rewarding.
I honestly think the biggest thing right now is that there's not an easy deck to play, and that's a lot of it. Is there's not like there's not the, again, people, you know, we always, I always preface this like, you know, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. You know what? No, like we should probably just ignore that part of it, because people are gonna get mad even if I say, hey, don't take this wrong. Take it wrong. I don't care. Playing Cheerios Briar was easy. That's why people played it. Like, plain and simple, it's the same reason people play I Red Blitz. It was an easy deck to pilot.
Same reason people played Seed Chain.
Seed Chain. Yep. You didn't have to think a lot. The only time people screwed up Seed Chain is when they would go make a shackle seed, and they'd be like, oh, I messed up. And they would do take backsies at locals, because people always do take backsies at local. They just get hosed at big events. But playing those decks was easy. There's kind of always been, like, or in the last couple formats as the game has continued to grow, there's kind of been an easy deck to play, or a deck that gives you a very pilot friendly deck that doesn't challenge you to play it. So what has happened is we've seen these big spikes of people play a specific deck, and I feel like this is the first format in a long time in Flesh and Blood where the format is really open, because
It's really
because
good.
it's really healthy. It's in a really good place. There's no like super easy deck to play, so you're being challenged to play a more difficult deck. You've got a lot of new cards, so even people who have been playing a deck for a long time have to figure out how do they adjust their deck, not just for themselves, but how do you adjust your deck for everybody else's deck? Because you have to keep in mind, I'm playing Prism and I'm still reading cards and I'm fanatical about knowing cards, but I'm still double checking. Okay, this is the one that I know the general effects. I haven't totally matched the names to the auras yet. You know what I mean? Like in my head, because I don't play it every round. So like I'm trying to register, okay, I need to know which auras on the board and how many there are left in the deck. I got to count these things that I didn't have to count before because I got in the habit of knowing what was what. You kind of understand the meta. And I think that's the challenge is,
21 auras left in the deck now.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. If I pop them, they make a spectral. If I pop your attack, it makes a spectral. If I don't do anything, funny enough.
Yeah, dude, I love that. I was so happy that you made that for me. I was like, if you haven't seen it, we made our community post this week where we're going to be putting out a community post where you can tell us what talking points you want us to hit on the podcast or what gameplay you want to see or just general feedback. But we're just going to have a post to centralize all that stuff. This week, the meme put out with it was the Parks and Rec that you go to jail. Believe it or not, jail. Like that meme.
Yeah.
I was like, Blake, you need to do this with spectrals because I'm making spectrals like a fucking madman. Pop my attack, spectral. Let my attack hit, spectral. Destroy an aura, spectral. Do nothing in pass, believe it or not, spectral.
Spectral. Yeah. It's such a good meta right now because there's so many interesting things and I think a lot of decks got little things that make them better, but nothing came out that's instantaneously busted or is really that bothersome. Like I think even bigger than that is a really good card for Katsu. I don't think it's broken, but it enables his turns that are off turns to potentially be something that weren't before. It's stuff like that. They did a really good job of releasing cards like that helped decks in a lot of ways. I'll apologize. I know Adam will probably listen. R.I.P. Bolton. I don't know why hated on Bolton so much. I think in general Warrior, we talked about that, right? Like we were kind of all on the same page. It feels like that's the one class that has 3 really distinct play styles, and it's created this issue where it's hard to make cards for the class that really work for everybody because they all play so different, which is unfortunate.
I cannot wait for next core set that's gonna be like Warrior and Ninja focused. Like, I mean, this block was very friendly to Rune Blades, right? With like some Warrior shit thrown at them as a bone. I would be, because James White has said that it's like the battle happening is predominantly like people who would be considered Rune Blades and people who would be considered Warriors. They're like the general foot soldiers of the forces fighting in Wraith, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if like we saw tons of Warrior love. That would be awesome.
The real question is, do you guys believe that we're going the route that some people have surmised, which is we've now kind of seen that it appears as though the release schedule and the release of the regions is in lore book order. I don't know if you've seen that. So they released the core sets.
About that. Yep.
So then they released the next set was Solana and Demonastery, which are like the first 2 they talk about. Now we're in Aria, which is the 3rd thing they talk about. And then next is apparently like Volcor is like the next
part of the
area.
lore. What part of the lore book? Like it's so it's not the listing of the banners because that's not
no, not the listing of the banner. Somebody talked about like how the story order and like the lore that they've developed is like they've explained the different regions in that order or something. So basically, it was like Solana, Demonastery, Aria came up next, and then after that, it was Volcor.
Oh, Demonastery wasn't even in the lore book.
No, not the lore book. In the order of the order of the regions as explained in like their lore. I don't know where it was. Somebody just pointed out that I don't know if it's on the website or something, but somebody pointed out that the order that they describe the regions in is the order that we've received things so far.
Ooh.
Which I didn't see it. It was one of those like I heard it from somebody.
Check that out. What's next then, according to them?
Volcor.
Volcore. Fuck yeah, dude. I'd be all about like a Mysteria. I've already said this in our chat.
Warriors.
Dude, I would
You could get
love
Warriors.
a Volcore like Mysteria dual set where it's like clans versus dynasties, because you've got like the very like inland China like esque feeling of Mysteria, and then you've got like the like feudal era Japan feeling, like the dynasties of Volcore. Like, that'd be sick. I'd be all about that.
Yeah, and Volcore could give us a warrior and a wizard.
Yeah,
which is
awesome.
I think classes that
Done.
Yeah,
And lava,
Fire Lord,
fire in the veins. It's right there in the website. Oh, wildlife. Oh, I thought I said wildfire. I'm like, oh my god. And matches. Never
Fire
mind.
Lord Kano.
I can't read.
Fire Lord Ozai. Yeah.
Other than that, this weekend more testing. Next weekend will be the ProQuest, our first ProQuest, first of 4 in the state. Pretty pumped for that. I don't have much else to go over this week, guys.
I've had like no, never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Nah, I will. I've had like 5 different people be like, I need to run into your Prism, and I'm like, they just want to see it before fucking ProQuest. I keep thinking like I'm just gonna make some.
Who was it? Just I want to hear.
Chris Dietz, Nick Gabler. He's been pestering me. Bergie wants to play again. Let me go through my.
Those are all our inner circle, pretty much right there. That doesn't surprise me.
Nick, but yeah, he's inner circle. But Nick, like, more
Nick
like
also wants.
Like, I realized it when Chris Dietz messaged me, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Do you want to play into my Prism? Because I don't want to give everyone tons of practice into it. Like, but that's being selfish too."
Yeah, I mean, I think fine. someone like
we'll give you the list that's allowed, Dane. We're gonna cut it off. There's only like 4 or 5 people who can practice into it. Nobody else is allowed to practice into it.
No.
It's just like me. I get message requests for the Azalea list. The Azalea list is in the box. I don't have an Azalea list. It changes daily.
Take a picture of it.
I know it looks fun. I'm not taking pictures of shit. That's what I'm not taking pictures of. It might be complete trash. I don't know why people want something that's not proven at all yet.
Yeah. I think the hard thing now is that
it's not like none of these are proven. Honestly, send me I'll send you the list, but you guys send me your list, because that's about probably equal value like right now. No, I'm really proud of my list actually. I have the same feeling I had after I built the Benji that was good at killing Iras in Blitz. I have that same like feeling of accomplishment. I'm on Prism list 1.0 right now. Blake, you were talking about your Bravo. We're like, yeah, we're on 2.7 or whatever it was, and I was like, I'm still on 1.0. Still looking for a reason to make major changes, and haven't hit one yet.
I mean, the main reason that we're so far, I think, is a combination of
and you got like a fucking cult there, like testing together.
It's kind of a hive mind, and then we definitely like are finding every window of opportunity to test constantly, because it's like a group of people who are kind of married to Bravo in some ways. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, well, we want to do how do we get Bravo? You got the cult of Bravo, and that's just, I think that's just a result of everybody.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna start stealing
fanatics.
I'm gonna start stealing your guys. I got Gabler. He wants to come over.
Well, here's the thing, Dane. We're gonna run, for your sake, not for mine. We're gonna run Prism through the gauntlet. You gotta run it through. One more build, a different build of Guardian. You gotta run it through Bolton.
I need to go into a super aggressive Bravo. Because I think the Bravo that you were playing, was yours aggressive? Would you consider yours aggressive?
I would consider it complete and utter trash.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't know who.
That's why we're on list 2.4, because I think the biggest issue with Bravo is I think a lot of lists got a handful of cards, right? Like Prism got a bunch of auras and some new attacks, but you still had
just
a fundamental
fucking miraging, dude. That card is so okay. Anyways,
I'm just saying, like, you got cards that like made sense to slot in certain spots, and then you could kind of tweak the deck around different things, because it's like, okay, well, these cards are really good and they have a ton of testing, so they're not going anywhere. Like, we're going to keep these cards because fundamentally these cards are still good in the list. Whereas like Bravo was like, okay, so here's the thing. You now have access to 40% of the card pool in the entire game. Have fun.
Yes.
Try to figure it out.
Everyone listening, lists are basically the same for Prism. No major changes. Go off that.
No, I understand that they changed, but I think that like it's more like your lateral changes aren't necessarily changing the entire deck structure. Where with Bravo, like we kept some of the old fundamental things of Bravo. Like our first list of Bravo, we're like, obviously you put in Mage Masters and Tome of Fyendal. That's like a classic Bravo strategy. Why would you ever change? It's like Guardian 101. And then you realize, you're like, wait, you play it once and you put a Tome of Fyendal in your arsenal. You're like, oh man, I really wish, my tunic's up. I could Crown of Sea. Oh God, that's my tome. Oh God, what do I do now? And you're just in like this awful spot where you realize that you've built one fundamental like problem in your deck, where the deck fights itself. And it was keeping a fundamental truth of Guardian, Mage Master's Tome. It's like a fundamental truth of Bravo. Unless someone forced me to take it out, that was in every match because it was so good. And now it's like, this is the lie. This is no longer truth. I don't know what truth is.
It was so hard. Truth. It was so hard stripping Prism down. I'm not gonna lie. Like that was like breaking that mental block was so difficult in rebuilding like a new deck. I started from scratch and I was just like, I need to think different. I built an Iris deck. Like I was like, let's go, because I stripped out so much of the core. Like I don't run library in my 80 because I like other things, and I don't have the yellow count anymore. So like the yellow fucking thing is gone. The tomes are gone. The dude, I take Phantasmal Footsteps out for some matchups. Like I'm running Mage Mask. Dude, it's a fucking wild deck and it works really well. And it's like 35 blues.
Yeah, I will say I've played your deck like 4 times now, just in testing after you gave it to me. And the first time I played it, I felt like everything kind of hummed, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I feel comfortable playing this. And the second game, when things started to go wrong, I was like, I probably should have asked like maybe some generic sideboard tips, or like what's like what are like 2 or 3 lines I'm specifically looking for in because I'm sitting there looking at it. In game 1, it felt comfortable because it felt like the hands were kind of coming to me and things were going okay. And then by game like 2 and 3, I had some really clunky hands where I'm like, I feel like I can't do anything. Like everything about this is wrong. Then game 4 felt better, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is why this game is so unique, because in some games you could just hand me a deck and I'd be like, okay, what are the 4 cards I need to know in this deck that I have to do this with? And in Fab, it's like I don't know the deck and I don't know the matchup, so dear sweet baby Jesus, please help me understand what I'm supposed to do when the cards get in my hand. And then fundamentally, I'm like, I have no idea. And even worse yet, I don't know what to pitch, like to force pitch, so that way I can get to it later. So I was like looking at the cards. I was like, okay, this card would be good later. I think this card would be good. And then
depending on the matchup, real basic, like you wanna pitch like at least 50-50 of what you're pitching should be the blue auras, and then you're just playing every single time snap you see. You just drop that shit. When you get back around, you just time snap aura. That's
actually an interesting thing.
We're gonna talk about the person that hates the.
I saw something on Facebook. It was like somebody sharing something, and to their credit, they hid the name. They didn't They called him out, but they didn't totally burn him down. But
I'm not convinced it was real.
It kind of feels like I'm being trolled, if I'm being honest, because it was basically somebody throwing a hissy fit about pitch stacking. Now, granted, I did see somebody post today
part of the game.
How they hate it, and it seems unfair and it's stupid. The only thing that made me think it might be real is the fact that at another point today, I saw someone go, has anybody considered card counting in Fab? Like counting, because you get to put your cards under your deck in the order of your choice. It's like,
that's got to be people trolling, though. There's no
like,
way.
This can't be real, right? But then at the same time, we're still in like the youth of the game. There are still so many new players.
But that is like borderline. That's just barely better than someone being like, has anyone thought to look at the ratios of their pitch values in their deck? Like just to like make sure the ratios are good. It's like, that's like,
I know. See, my thing was, I thought it was a troll, but then at the same time, I think about it locals when you can tell somebody is like shocked by a card that they draw, or when people get salty because they're like, man, your deck's just drawing the nuts. And I'm like, okay, look, if
we were talking about this too, that's a pet peeve of mine.
If I fused Oakenolds you turn one, like I did to Jason in testing a couple of times, look, you can be
sure you did it.
I apologize. I did.
I drew the nuts. Sorry. Turn 0, fused Oakenold. Turn 2, Command and Conquer, fucking pummeled. I'm like, I still fought back. That's why I like my deck. I'm like, I still didn't just like get destroyed. I still fought back.
But yeah, like that's luck. That is luck.
I feel bad. Right. That's the kind of stuff that I'm not like. It's like, look, you know what? Top Deck Jesus loves me today. That's all I can say. I got some love from Top Deck Jesus.
Deck is eventually going to have that.
Yeah,
to Birdie, a couple times I've dominated a 10-12 arrow on turn 0. It happens.
Exactly.
And Azalea, you hit an arrow, you swing it. It's a huge attack.
Yep. And I think that happens. It drives me nuts. Like Dane said, when somebody gets upset,
6 or 7.
It's like turn 7 and someone's like, oh yeah, of course now you're just drawing the nuts on me, man. It's like, yeah, I pitched the nuts. Like I did that on purpose.
Those are my nuts.
Yeah, that's to me like that's like I guess in my brain, pitch stacking is a fundamental truth of the game of Flesh and Blood. But I think to some people they don't understand how valuable or how necessary it is to the game's like structure. And it's funny to me because
those right there.
Those are the kind of things that do crack me up kind of on Facebooks now and in Discord. Sometimes you see things you're like, okay, am I getting trolled? Do I respond to this or am I getting trolled? Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to answer, if I'm just going to get
the answer for anyone wondering is never respond. I don't respond to anything on Facebook anymore. I just went back through and like read a bunch of one of you guys was on our Facebook chat for our channel page. And I was like, oh yeah, like thank God one of you guys were keeping up on that because I was not, and I have not been for a while. Like I am so adverse to Facebook.
I got a notification because I clicked on my Facebook app and it had a notification that there was like somebody messaged. I was like, oh yeah, I should. I
check our email if it's something important or you want to like act like you can email us. But that's
yeah. Every now and then we just miss the messages on the Not every now. Quite often we miss the messages for like a day or two.
Pretty consistent
at the least. Yeah.
We all got lives, man.
Yeah.
We try to at least.
Yeah. Now that I'm doing my new job, like I will not look at my phone for like hours at a time, and I'll come back and I'll be like, I can't even catch up. There's 174 messages that I missed. Like, how am I supposed to read through this? I got to start asking for synopsies.
You just type TLDR.
Yeah, just like TLDR since 10 a.m.
Yeah.
I'll do that and I'll start doing that.
TLDR, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Anything else for us, Jason? Anything we want to talk about? We want to know, like, I genuinely want to know what other people are running. Like, what are you excited about? Do you have like some spicy? I've seen people talk about Dorinthia. I've seen I've seen lots of like lesser known, like lesser talked about decks and heroes kind of come up. So I want to know like what we should be looking at. If there's something fun, because I'm on Prism hard and I love it and I'm happy, and I'm looking for something else to like. I'm gonna build Viserai just because I think we should probably be testing a Viserai too, and also it's really fun. But I would love to have a reason to build a Dorinthia. You know, like if you guys got something, I know Nick's actually working on Dorinthia, so that would be cool. But yeah, throw those in the comments because we want to hear that stuff. And be sure to comment and like give us your thoughts on our community posts that we put out. Well, I think those usually go out Monday or Tuesday each week to give us some time to react. But yeah, engage with us there too. But that's all we really got for you. Be sure to like and subscribe. And we will talk to y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.